time to look at data structures. Data structures is a quite wide topic because each of these data structures we go on to discuss them in separate videos, but it's good for us to have a general overview of these data structures and know what they stand for, what they represent, and how you can employ or use them in your program. So the first one we have here is the list. So by list, list is a data structure that are mutable. Okay, by that it means that you can make changes to them, you can add to them, you can substitute values, at any point in a list, unlike strings, which are immutable. We'll come to that. But basically, also know that for list data type, the order of elements matters. Okay, the order you place the element matters. So let's see what for list. Let's do a markdown here, or press M so to enable me type. For list, you use this type of curly braces, this type of curly brackets. Okay, so let me create this above. All right, so I'm going to have a variable and I'll call it my list, and I'm going to impute some values. So take note of the curly brace because that's one of the difference between most of these data structures. So I'll give it values 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. So let's just do a simple operation. Let's print out what we have in that list. Let's print out the items we have in my list. Shift enter. So it's going to print out the content of my list, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Basically, very simple basic operation. So we can go ahead to have a list of strings. So again, I could do my list, and I'll just have a list of string. The first one, let's have just that. List of. So I could have this in my list. All right, so I'll just go ahead and close this off. So if I come here and print the content of my list, what is that supposed to be? Shift enter. I don't know why I forget that only. So it's going to print that. All right, you can see that there is something here. You can see it's joining off and string together, which I don't want to be. So I'll come here and insert a comma. So I'll put a comma, and all right, if I shift enter again, all right, it's going to put that nicely well. So okay, let me create 2 extra cells. All right, so again, I could go ahead and check the length of that list by doing check the length of my list by doing length and length of list. All right, so shift enter is going to tell me that my list have 3 items, which is this, as well as this. Okay, basically. Like I said earlier, the order of arrangement of elements in the list is important. The order matters. So I'm going to quickly prove that to you. So if I have a list, I have numbers, let's say one and two. Then I'm going to check that with, we are trying to test for equality. That's why we are using double equal sign. So order, then I have the other list. I have 1, 2, comma 1. So I want to check if this is true. So if I do shift enter, it's going to print false. Why? Because in this list you have, though they have the same element, but the order, they are not of the same order, so it's false. So that is why we say in list the order of arrangement is very important. But when we start talking about string, you understand that in string order is not that important. It's not important, right? So here again we go ahead to talk about that in list can be indexed and sliced. By that we mean that you can, access any value in a list. Then you can cut out values from a list. Then you can index a value from a list. So I'm going to show real quick a simple example that will make you understand what we are talking about. So if we have a list, and I just have list of even numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, 8, 10, and 12. Okay, list of even numbers. So then I want to access a particular value, a particular number from this list. So I'll just go ahead and do even index 0. So what is the number at index 0? So if I do shift enter, it's going to print 2, because of course you know that the first index, the first index of elements, they start index from 0. So that's the first value here is at index 0. So basically, so again, we could reference other indexes from this list. Take for instance, I want to index the last element. I'll just do even, how do I index the last element? That means the last one, I'll use a negative sign. I'll do -1. That means I want to print the last element from this list here. So if I do shift enter, it's going to print 12. So that means the last element is 12. We can go on and on, but basically I'll leave it at this point because it's just a general overview. We have another video where we talk more about list. So again, we jump down here to talk about sets. Okay, so when we talk about set, a set is similar to list in a way, but has unique element. And again, the symbol you use in set, let me just do a mark down here so that I can input a plain text. So for set, you use this curly brace, right? That is what you use for set. So, and it's quite similar but has unique elements. So we are going to show that real quick, and by that I'll define a variable called my set, and I'll give it some values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll just give it those values. And if I go ahead, let's first print the items in my set. Shift enter, so it's going to print out those items. So again, we can check, we can do type of set, type of. So we can go ahead and do the type of my set. So I'll come here. If you are confused about this, the type you have here. So I'll do type of my set. So if I do shift enter, it's going to tell me that this is set. But if we come down here to here, I'll just have another. Let me print. Okay. If I come down here to do type of even, shift enter, it's going to tell me that it's a list. All right. So this type of my set, that is set. So take note of that. Then I could list the elements, the length of my set. So I'll just do length of my set. Okay, so shift enter is going to tell me that the items in this set, there are 6 elements. It's going to print out 6. So basically, so one thing we check now before we go on to talk about something else, tuples and dictionaries, is that in set, does the order matter? So that's what we are going to confirm. Let's check together. Let's have some elements, some items in this set. So we're going to use the comparison operator. Okay, so we have another 1, 2, comma 1. So I'll close this off. If I run it, shift enter, it's true. So that is to tell you that in set, the order of the element is not important. It doesn't matter. But like we did in list, okay, when we try that using list, you see that it returned false. That means that it has to be exactly the same. So in list, order of arrangement matters. The items have to be arranged the same way, but in set, the order of arrangement does not matter. All right, guys, let's talk about tuples now. For tuples, they are similar to lists, like they have similar features, like we described earlier. Okay, so one major difference is that you can't append or add items to tuples, and again, you cannot modify the values of tuples. Why is this, and what is the usefulness of this in in programming? Okay, basically, we tend to use tuples in programming because in Python because they are memory efficient. Take for instance, we declare you just need a predefined memory location. You just need to use just allocate a small memory location. Okay, a memory address. You can use tuples to do that because you know that you are not going to modify the size, or you are not going to increase or add elements to that. So you can use tuples to take care of that. And they are memory efficient and good for storing lots of little things like, let's say X and Y coordinates. So that is why tuples, we use tuples. Again, so let's go ahead and show you how that works. I could have, a variable called my tuples. Let me assign some values. Again, take note of the kind of bracket we use for tuples. And take note of the one we use for lists. They are quite different. So take note of that difference. Okay. So my tuples, and I'll give you some values. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Let's leave it at that. And let's go ahead and do length of my tuples. First, let's print the items I have there. Print my tuples. Shift enter, so it's going to print that. And again, we can do length. Let's check the length of my tuples. Shift enter, so it's going to tell us that there are 4 items there. So again, let's check if the order of items, order of arrangement is the same in tuples. So like we said, list is similar to tuples. All right, they are similar. List and tuples are similar. So you remember in list we talked about that the order of arrangement is important. Okay, that is what we said about list, but it said it's not. So let's check if that is true for tuples. Again, we have, if we have one, we want to check for this test for equality. So 2, 1, if they are the same. So shift enter, so it's going to be false, just as we had in list. So items have to be exactly the same for it to be true. So for it to be true, it has to be 1, 2, 1, 2. They have to be the same for it to be true. So shift enter, you see this is true, but this is false because order of arrangement in tuples true are very important. Like we said, let's prove to you that you cannot append an element, an element to a tuple, but you can do that in list. Let's try that in list first before we come here. So I have this list evil where I declared a set of evil numbers 2 to 12. I could come here and append a number to that. So I could do even, which is the name of my variable, even dot append. So I want to append 14. I want to add 14 to that list. So I'll go ahead now. If I try to print the value of print even the items, if I do shift enter, you see that the new value I added has reflected. That means you can append, you can add values, you can modify items in a list. But let's try to do that in tuples. So if I come here and do okay, I have a list already. I think I have a list. All right, my tuples 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I come here and try to do my tuples, sorry about that, my tuples dot append. Let's say I want to append 5. Then I want to now print out element in my tuples. So if I shift enter, okay, let me create a list. All right, so it's going to throw an error. Look at, read it. Tuple object has no attribute append. So that means you can't append an element to the end of a list which you already created. It does not work with tuple. It does not work with tuple. So let me remove this. All right, it does not work with tuple. So that is one thing I really want you to take note of. Okay, time to look at dictionaries. Basically, dictionary is more like a big book where you look up the meaning of items. So again, in Python, dictionaries serve the same purpose. You can create a dictionary, you can create your own dictionary, and you define what each item stands for. And again, you can come back and reference each item and pull out the meaning of such item. So let's create one. I'll just call it my underscore dictionary. Okay, I'll leave it at dict so that I don't want to make it too long. So let's create our own dictionary. So I could have this and I'll start creating. So for my dictionary, I want to have a boy. So who is a boy? What does that represent? I'll define that. And a boy or a male child. Sorry. Then go ahead to have another one. Here I'll do girl. And I'll define that again. Just do a female child. Again, I'll have another definition here for, let's say, bird. And what is that? A bird is, of course, a flying animal. All right, so first, after this, I'll have a comma here to differentiate. So let's add one more item to our dictionary. We could have, let's say, rice. So we define what that would be. Of course, rice will be starchy food. So I'll say rice, starchy food. Okay, so at the end of the day, I'll leave it at that, and I'll go ahead to display, to access any item in the dictionary. So I'll do dictionary, and I'll use the square bracket. Then what do I want to, which meaning, which item do I want to get the meaning? Let's say bird. So I'll hold shift enter. So it's going to print the meaning of that, a flying animal. So I could access the meaning of any of the items. Let's say boy. Shift enter, a male child. So you could go ahead to check the meaning of all of that. So just before I go, let's let you know the similarities between set and dictionaries, like we have looked at. But both set and dictionary, both are defined with curly braces, like you can see here. Both are defined with curly braces, and set have unique values. Dictionaries have unique keys, and the order in both items, both set and dictionaries, the order is not important. It doesn't matter in which order you place them. If you have 1,2, 2,1, it's going to be true because both items are same. So thank you. I'll see you in the next video.